banking fraud, we're just getting through. Hopefully you won't see COVID again. I hate using that word. But as we call it, the pandemic, the scamdemic, in banks, we are seeing a 400% increase on scams.
Wow.
So if we go to the next page or next slide, internet crime. Internet crime is up 7% from 2020, but 81% from 2019.
Wow.
Businesses and individuals lost 6.9 billion. So I listed down there, I know you all can read, we are really seeing an uptick. If I take all of them in your ransomware scams, we're seeing that. And email compromise. Just last week, one of my biggest clients, he is a little bit on the mature side and not tech savvy, and you have to tell them 18,000 times, don't click, don't click. If you leave anything today, don't click a push notification or a hyperlink. Make a long story short, he clicked something he shouldn't have, and they were hijacked. And then the week before, he answered an email, which is the email compromise, is that they're getting into your email, seeing how your language, your verbiage, how you sign off, and they're sending, I would know how one of you at your company's emails. I send you an email and they know that you were sending the bank a wire form. This all happened last week. He then thought it was a real person and it was a bad actor, as we call them. And I had a red alert. No one was allowed to talk to anybody in the company, anything. He almost sent out a $2 million wire that we would have never gotten back. So you've got to be careful. It's even attorney trust account scams. That's when the attorney is emailing the bank and the owner of the company. It is a disaster right now. And you can see the losses are even going up more. So protect your bank account. So like I said, 400%. I can actually say in the Montgomeryville office alone, they spend about at least an hour minimum a day on PA fraud affidavits. That means somebody used somebody's debit card, credit card, got into their bank, and it is cumbersome. There's a lot that goes into this. We see a ton at the Montgomeryville office of check washing. So they're taking your check. They're taking, a check from any March Jewelers. They take your check. It's a real check. They washed it. They don't literally wash it, but they remove all of the writing information and they implement their own. So I'm sure you saw, I don't know, it was about a couple months ago, we actually arrested somebody at the Montgomeryville drive-through. He didn't drive through. That would have been my first thing. He walked through. No secondary vehicle, banging on the window. The key for us is this person was on foot. I would have pulled the alarm right then, but I'm not in the front of the house anymore. So he's on foot. The check says that he lives in Westchester and his company he works for is in Allentown. So the young man at the window knew, and as soon as I could see it, I saw it after the fact, it was fraud. So what happened is we called our customer and said, hey, Jim, did you write this check? Jim says no. They pull the alarm or call on dispatch, and he was arrested, and he was from Norristown.
Did you just sparked a thought? Like, what do I do about that? I write a lot of checks.
Well, if a check, the problem is that if you have a second endorser, like double signatures, banks and PA do not enforce second endorsement. That's not operational for the company to handle. So for you, it's just positive pay. All the bells and whistles that our customers don't want to pay for now, like that client that didn't want to pay for positive pay. So you would send the bank through an encrypted file all the checks you're writing for that day, that week. They upload it, and if that check is presented and it's not, you have positive pay, we know we can't cash it. But all these things do cost money.
Positive pay is.
So positive pay is that it's a module that we sell. Every bank sells it. So you then say, okay, my bank, I am going to write all these checks this week. Okay, big checks. We get that sent to us an Excel file. We upload it. it's in your system, so when a check comes through, it will reject the check that's not in there.
You already know what the number is,
Yeah.
you already know.
Right.
So how do I do that when it's clients that
Well, that you can, it's once a day you send up. So if it's a daily check, you may have a little bit of hiccup, but it's more what we're seeing is big vendor checks,
got it?
not a lot of it, or disgruntled employee checks. But there's all kinds of fraud with whoever you bank with, is that there's all kinds of fraud protection. It just costs a lot. But the people that have bought it and who are paying that monthly fee, who got hit by a wire or by a check washing and are out, we usually can never get a wire back. Once it's in the internet, we're done. We're seeing more problems with these push payments. You know what push payments are? Push payments is when we're all getting them every day. You're getting an email or a text on your phone and it says push this link, or it's on an email and it says push this link. Don't push a link. Don't push anything if you don't know. And that's what's happening is people are saying, oh, I don't know who, if you don't know who the sender is, you don't know who the texter is, don't open it. Because push payments are the number one thing to pay invoices. I'm going to pay my Verizon. We had an example of a Verizon. Verizon supposedly told me that they talk to their employees once a month about fraud. And if you get caught stealing someone's identity, like within so many, they're not only going to fire you, they're pressing charges. So because I have a husband who no longer writes checks, but he wanted to write the check and I'm like, we should pay online, encrypted, blah, blah, blah. So we say we had $279 for a Verizon bill. I get a call from the bank that I'm overdrawn $10,079. So they put different numbers in there and our signature was there. So you have to do the PA affidavit, you have to do the fraud, you have to, sign everything. And when we get to that, I will tell you, please, please, please don't use your debit card. At least if it's on a credit card, there's some things that can stop it. But right now, it's just massive right now. They are in front of us more than we can get in front of them. And don't share your credentials, business owners. I hear this all the time. Bookkeeper calls me yesterday and she said, my boss was using my credentials. I was using his credentials. Now we're all locked out. And I'm like, is there a reason you're all using each other's credentials? You have one employee. You can trust no one. You have one employee that leans you and has your credentials. We can't stop them. They have access to all your bank information.
What about online banking when you do your checking through online banking?
What do you mean?
Is that safer, the checks?
Yes.
That go out?
Right, through online banking, through the portal, the safest way and the best thing for you to do is to go through your bank and have them do the checks. It's usually a free service. So it's like a bill pay. That's the
Is that
safest way.
physical check still going out?
No, your check really isn't still going out. The bank's sending a check, but honestly, everybody knows, like your social security is what you're supposed to, everybody has everybody's account number, routing number. It's just, you gotta have the safety of knowing and checking your statement every day.
No, I guess my question is, if I go do online bill pay
Right.
through my bank,
It's
is there still a physical check that's going out that could be intercepted
No.
and washed?
no,
Okay,
lots of times it's just called internet check. It's a
That's what I thought.
virtual check. It's not a physical check. And we've seen an uptick in the past month of mail being stolen again out of mailboxes. So you got to be really careful. Like if you can go home or your kids get your mail, somebody needs to get the mail out. Debit cards versus what is safer? Debit cards are not safe. So a lot of people have this false thing that if you sign your debit card, it's safer. That's not true. 75% of consumers shop online once a month. It is amazing. Global sales have reached 4.9 trillion. And unfortunately, people don't realize, probably a lot of us sitting at this table, most of us have our debit card attached to your paycheck because your paycheck gets dumped into your primary checking account. So what would happen if somebody can wipe it all out? And when people say, oh, they do nothing, I had a large veterinarian office and I called him on a Friday at 6 o'clock and I'm like, don't touch anything. You are online, you're compromised. They tried like 6 times, little things. I said, they're about to wipe out your entire business checking account. He goes, I don't use online banking. I said, well, somebody in your office does. He goes, oh, my bookkeeper, I let her use it.
Mhm.
So with the debit card fraud, we are seeing, unfortunately, family members, caregivers, elder abuse, and a lot of young adults sharing their PIN with their roommates. Don't understand that at all, but everybody needs to make sure their kids know not to do that. Again, the push payments. And a lot of people don't want to do police reports. Twice in my career, I have had family members with elder abuse, young adults wipe out everything of their parents, and they didn't want to do the police report, so we could not press charges. So it's Venmo.
Dollars use that left and right.
You gotta make sure the settings are safe. That's the thing. I mean, Zelle is the banking platform and they got hijacked not too many months ago. The problem is I use Venmo when I go on Venmo and I can see all of you did a Venmo payment and what it was for and
All
I'm
their
like,
friends, they do it back and forth.
but you can set that it's private and no one except the person you were sending the money to sees it. I go on there and I can tell you who had beer last night, who went to a party, and
Mhm.
the whole general public of Venmo can see that. You gotta make your kids change their settings. This is my big thing with the debit card. You can get provisional credit, but total refund can take in the state of PA 6 months. So if you use a debit card and someone bought a TV for a couple grand at Best Buy, we can do all the affidavits and everything, and depending on your bank, they do not have to give you provisional credit, meaning giving you that exposure of money back until it's figured out. In the state, it is a 6-month wait period. I'm really strong advocate of use your credit card. You should really just have one credit card. People think this is nuts. One credit card that you use for online purchases only. It's a controlled situation. You know that there's fraud. And in the state of PA, you're not liable for more than $50 if it's reported in 2 billing cycles.
So certain credit cards that are better.
American Express, hands down.
That's what-
Some people don't like to use it. Sometimes there is a fee to use American Express, but American Express, especially business owners, you call and say, this is what happened. That's fine. We'll take care of it. Where not good credit cards is your Target, your JCPenney, your Gap, those little ones. You will have to have an act of Congress and fill out all these papers. And again, they can take months to credit you back. And if you have a million credit cards, ladies, in your wallet, you should have front and back copies sitting at home in a file. So when your, God forbid, your purse gets stolen or someone steals a credit card, you're not scrambling to find out what they got from you. This is just when you were asking about, Jim, about how to protect your business. There's a lot of things, email, being aware, even donating. Donating with what happened in Florida, the scams that are out there is ungodly of what we're seeing now. So know who you donate for. Remote securely. A lot of people have this whole work from home. There's a hyperlink in there. You can get security tips on how you VPN in and make sure your employees know what they're doing because a lot of people are working from home.
And Mary, can you send that to me?
Do you have it?
That'd be fair. I don't have the
Yeah, the document
links
itself.
and everything.
Okay. The multi-layered approach to fighting payments with fraud. So it's all sensible, but in a busy world today, I think we just forget some of the passwords. I am a strong proponent at home. If you're using and you're buying a lot online, I prefer right now Bitfender. What that does is, how we all have to have 18,000 email by little password books at home. Well, Bitfender encrypts it every time you send it out. So Bitfender, Bitfender. So what Bitfender does is you're buying something, it's called Safe Pay. So you're on Macy's and you don't then keep passwords. It creates a new password every time. It's encrypted. So nobody can figure out, your dog's name, your favorite ice cream, because they're always a step ahead of us in figuring out the passwords. Notify us immediately if you suspect any fraud. That is the key to getting this resolved. Public Wi-Fi is an absolute no-no. People use it all the time and anybody can get there. Malware, make sure you have some kind of malware protection. What's happening is everything's getting hijacked right now. Remote deposit. Who uses remote deposit for work? Okay, so if you're doing it through this check scanner, what you need to do, and this happened yesterday to another client, make sure your bookkeeper knows remote deposit checks should be saved minimally for 2 weeks or at least one billing cycle under block and key though. I had a bookkeeper yesterday who thought she was doing the right thing, scanned 60 checks and then shredded them all. And guess what? She forgot to hit complete on the scanner. You know that pain. We can't do anything. They have to go back to, and this is from 9/16 to yesterday. They have to go back to every company and ask them for a new check. These checks are 200,000, 300,000.
Oh my God.
That's a bad day.
That's a bad day. Exercise mail carefully. Mail's a mess right now. And just multi-layer. We all hate multi-layering. Multi-layer means, you know, there's 3 questions. So you put the darn password in, and then what's your favorite color? Who's your favorite child? Who's this? That's multi-layering. And we all hate it, but it's a safer way to do it.
Is that the same as two-factor authentication?
Yeah.
Like sending me a text?
Yeah. And then, or Google now, you have to get your phone and you got to go and look at what the number is on the phone. Right.
My kids call me, what's the code?
Yeah. What's the code?
My wife called me once, it was like, you just got a text, and I did.
Yeah.
Just read the code.
Just give me the code. I did put this, can you link this or no? Can they link?
Yeah, so I have the PowerPoint. If you just
Okay.
give me the resource, I can link to it.
Okay. So this is a gem of a read. This is the Internet Crime Report. It is for 2021. And he'll have links. It will literally tell you everything that's going on. It will break it down by everything that you can imagine of what crimes are being committed right now. The FBI, there's also an attorney trust account for trust account scams for people that bought medical equipment. And then also in there, you can read about a complaint for a $43 billion scam. It's very interesting to see what's going on in our world. Federal Reserve, I was right because I was a month late. So this is what we're seeing, where rates,
75.
where, what?
Yeah, the 75.
I'm down to 75. So I left this in here to show that I was on target. So this is what we are seeing. This is what we're hearing right now. And as astonishing as I tell some people, I know that's like a lot to look at. My first house many moons ago, 3 houses ago, was 13%, but CDs were paying 6%. So it is relative. Just this morning, Bloomberg announced, if anybody heard the news this morning, Bloomberg announced this morning that they are predicting a 100% recession within 12 months. And 40% of our national analysts, this was all this morning, predict 75% feel that there will be a full-blown recession. Job market is still strong. There's 2 jobs per person available, and we don't know where any of the employees are,
Right.
basically. From all our digging and working with big accounting firms, they're saying, because they're doing people's tax returns, people want work-life balance. So they're cobbling 3 jobs together. They don't want overtime. I had long talks with the police force and went at Autumn Fest the other day. And I had this conversation with 3 different people at Autumn Fest. It was pretty funny about where are the workers? Nobody wants to work, all this. And they were saying, people don't even want overtime. And we see that. Give me comp time. I do not want overtime. I want to be at home. So I don't know how we're going to do this, but the only bright spot that I can tell you, and I think Citadel has a good rate too. CD rates are rising, and so are money market rates to rates we haven't seen in a really long time. My suggestion is to layer them right now until the stock market gets stabilized. I'm sure you'll agree. The reason you're seeing, and people are like, well, why now are banks doing 4%? I think I saw American Heritage doing like 4%.
We're doing 4 for 36 and then 3.5 for 18.
Yeah, so they're all up there. They're in the 4s. And brokered CDs are up there too.
4%.
4% for 1 year for a broker CD. And people are like, so why are they getting all these rates now? We're still lending money. So because you're still lending money, the banks need to get deposits in there to keep our balance sheet, on a good way, because we don't want to borrow money for the Fed and pay all that money. So it's a challenging time all the way around. And the bigger concern will be when we get into third and fourth quarter with retail, because we are seeing retail really struggling, deep discounts already, Christmas out. The earlier you see Christmas out, it's usually the bigger the struggle. And Amazon announced by, I think, next month, they're going to have an old-fashioned, this is dating me, layaway. So Amazon is now going to offer layaway and pay as you go, so people can still afford to shop on Amazon.
There's been Christmas commercials on TV already.
Yep.
Not even at Halloween.
Yep. So that's always an indicator.
Thanks. So
All right, I fit it all in. Thank you.
So wonderful, thank you.
Thank you.